Here I will demonstrate how to properly measure the ear width. Select ear width as the anatomical feature. You'll notice that there are 4 available anatomical features or physical features to use at the 0 degree angle. These are listed from most accurate, which is ear width, to least accurate, which is upper nostril width. For this image, I will select ear width. To begin, select Measure Ear Width feature. Once selected, my mouse will turn into a pen, which indicates that I am ready to draw on the photograph. Here, I'm looking to draw the widest distance of the ear that is perpendicular to the center or the axis of the ear. I will make 1 mouse click on the lower part and 1 mouse click on the upper part. This line shows how to properly measure an ear width on a deer looking straight at the camera, or what is called the 0 degree angle. To continue, select Record Ear Width feature in the upper right corner. For the physical feature, I will choose eye to eye width. This will measure the distance between the eyes of a deer looking straight at the camera. To begin, click the button that says Measure Eye to Eye Width. Once that is selected, your mouse will turn into a pen, which indicates that you are ready to measure the feature. To measure the eye-to-eye width on a deer looking straight at the camera, I will begin by making 1 click at the bottom corner of the first eye and finish the measurement by clicking the bottom corner of the other eye. This picture illustrates how an eye-to-eye width measurement should be made on a deer looking straight at the camera, or what is called the 0 degree angle. To continue, click Record Eye to Eye Width in the upper right corner. Here I will demonstrate how to properly measure the lower nostril width on a deer at the 0 degree image orientation. To begin, select Lower Nostril Width from the Reference Feature drop-down list. To continue, select Measure Lower Nostril Width feature. My mouse now changes into a pen, indicating that I am ready to measure the feature. Here, I will select the widest portion of the muzzle that is below the nares on the deer. I will begin by clicking the furthest on the left and finish by clicking the furthest point on the right. This line indicates how to properly measure a lower nostril width on a deer at the 0 degree angle. To complete this measurement, click Record Nostril Width feature in the upper right corner. Here I will demonstrate how to properly measure the upper nostril width at the 0 degree image orientation. To begin, select Upper Nostril Width from the drop-down list of reference features. Then select Measure Upper Nostril Width feature to continue. Once selected, my mouse changes into a pen, indicating that I am ready to draw on the photograph. I am selecting the widest portion of the muzzle that is above the nares or nasal openings. I will click on the far left and finish by making a mouse click on the far right. This line demonstrates the proper way to measure the upper nostril width of a deer at the 0-degree image orientation. To finish, select Record Upper Nostril Width feature in the top right. For the reference or physical feature, there are two potential options at this image orientation: ear width, which is the most accurate, and eyeball width, which is less accurate. For this, I will select ear width. To continue, select Measure Ear Width feature. You will note that your mouse changed into a pen, indicating that you are now ready to draw on the image. Just as with 0 degrees, I will select the outer edges of the ear perpendicular to the midline of the ear. This line demonstrates the proper way to measure an ear width at the 45-degree image orientation. To continue, select Ear Width feature. For reference or physical feature, I will now select eyeball width. To continue to measure the eyeball width, select the button below. You are now ready to measure the eyeball width. Note, this is the actual eyeball and not the entire eye socket. I'll click on the corner of the actual eyeball with a mouse click, and then the inner corner of the actual eyeball. This line demonstrates the proper way to measure the eyeball width of a deer at the 45-degree image orientation. To continue, select Record Eyeball Width feature. Select 90 degrees for the image orientation, and then select the reference or physical feature you will be using. Ear width is the best feature, whereas eyeball width is the second best. For this purpose, I will select ear width, and to begin, I will select Measure Ear Width feature. My mouse turns into the pen, indicating that I'm ready to draw on the image. And again, I will select on the outer edges of the ear so that the line is perpendicular to the main axis of the ear. This line demonstrates the proper way to measure an ear width feature of a deer at the 90-degree image orientation. To finish, select Record Ear Width feature. For this demonstration, I will use the eyeball width for the deer. To continue, select Measure Eyeball Width feature. Here, I'm ready to measure the actual eyeball width of the deer, not the entire eye socket, which would be this measurement. I want to select the outside edges of the actual eyeball. This line demonstrates the proper way to measure eyeball width of a deer at the 90-degree image orientation. To continue, select Record Eyeball Width feature. If you are unhappy with your line, select Erase Lines and begin over.